This episode is brought to you by Peacock. The new Peacock original documentary, Matthew Perry, A Hollywood Tragedy, dives deep into the beloved actor's rise to fame and his tragic death. 5 people, including Perry's personal assistant, 2 medical doctors, and an alleged Hollywood drug dealer known as the Ketamine Queen, were charged with conspiracy to illegally provide Perry with the ketamine. Explore the details of the case in this heartbreaking special, streaming now only on Peacock.
Life is made up of many gorgeous moments. Cherish them all, big and small, with Blue Nile. Whether it's for yourself or a loved one, Blue Nile's unrivaled selection of expertly crafted fine jewelry and statement pieces help make all your moments sparkle. Blue Nile's experts are on hand to guide you, and their diamond guarantee ensures you get the highest quality at the best price. Celebrate a life well lived in the most radiant way and save up to 30% at BlueNile.com. That's BlueNile.com.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states or situations.
Achtung Millwall podcast supports the Lions Food Hub, dear listeners, and you can do too by getting yourself an Achtung Millwall t-shirt from noonelikes.co.uk, also known as Nolu Clothing. They've got a wonderful Achtung Millwall t-shirt on there for £15. At least £8 of each sale goes to support the Lions Food Hub, which does fantastic work for families in and around the South East 16 area. Show your allegiances on the podcast front, dear listeners, by getting yourself an Achtung Millwall t-shirt, and by doing that, you'll support the wonderful, the brilliant Lions Food Hub. Noonelikes.co.uk, Achtung Millwall t-shirt, £15. Check it out.
You're listening to Achtung Millwall, broadcasting from the beautiful South Birmingham. Accept no substitute.
Hello, dear listeners. Welcome to the Vicarage Road end of Vicarage Road Stadium in Watford for the visit, the lunchtime visit on a beautiful, nearly springtime afternoon maybe, from the Lions to Watford. Both teams just walking out on the pitch. The pitch looks like a billiard table out there. It really does look nice. Your Lions today, dear listeners, Lucas Jensen and got with the usual back line of Jeff Tanganga, Jake Cooper, Joe Bryan and Tristan Kramer. In front of them, Billy Mitchell and Gaspar Denor. All change going forwards though. It's the attacking threes, Luke Cundall, Jules Honeyman and Idemo Marku gets a start this afternoon. Up front, Jake Coburn, Josh Coburn, Jim Coburn, Johnny Coburn. It's a beautiful afternoon here, dear listeners, really warm. Down in front of the main stand, it's quite warm. People are in t-shirts down there. In the shade, a little bit more parky though. Well, the big news, of course, is that 6-game suspension for Lions keeper Liam Roberts by the kangaroo court that is the FA, whipped up by media frenzy. Steve Parish and his hairdressing accent and his big nose, and all of the mediocrities in the media that have tried to really do a job on our goalkeeper. I'm fully expecting it to be another tribute to Liam Roberts at the appropriate moment in the first half. We'll see about that. That was great on Tuesday, really took me by surprise. But yeah, he's got a 6-game ban. But worse than that, in my opinion, is the tarnishing of his reputation, dear listeners. There we are. Lions this afternoon in the away kit, the all-silver away kit. Watford, of course, in yellow and red. They actually sit one place above us, 4 points ahead of us. 49 points for Watford, 45 for the Lions. They're in 11th, we're in 12th. So I think it's a long shot. Playoff talk is a long shot, dear listeners. But if we're going to do it, we've got to start winning, starting here today, for me at least. Strong smell of an exotic vape around me. I'm not sure what brand that is, listeners. An unusual one. So what kind of meal are we going to get today, listeners? Are we going to get the namby-pamby Tuesday night version, or are we going to get one that showed up, particularly in the second half at Selhurst Park? We're changing ends. We're going to be attacking the the away support in the first half. A little bit of Elton John. It's about as much as you want of it. Strange choice of playing music, but there we are. Away we go, dear listeners.
25 stitches! It should have been more! It should have been more! It should have been more! 25 stitches! It should have been more!
New song for the afternoon, that'll be reported, listeners.
25 stitches! It should have been more!
New shock and outrage.
25 stitches! It should have been more!
It's going to be for the whole game, listeners. Oh dear.
It's only one-legged robbers! One-legged robbers!
Oh, here we go. 8 minutes in, listeners. A minute's applause for Liam on 8 minutes. Left-sided corner. 9 minutes. Into the box, punched clear.
Catch the fucking ball!
Modern keepers don't catch the ball. Back out on the left.
He don't leave his fucking line. He's like a fucking terrible drug addict.
Oh, that's a good one, I like that one. I'll use that one. Kramer now on the right side. Can he get a cross in? He can. Poor cross. Balls to Billy Mitch. Shot on goal. Bouncing shot. A rare shot from Billy Mitch. He bounces wide right.
Three of you! Three of you!
They get a break. Yeah, this is the 37 breaking forwards. Man wide left. The 8. 14 minutes in. Shot on target. Ooh.
You catch the fucking
Spilled there and a bit away by Jensen. Thought he spilled that into his net for a moment, listeners. We dodge a bullet. 14 and a half minutes. 15 minutes into this game. Nothing much to report from a Millwall perspective. Nothing much to report from any perspective, in truth. Kramer puts it straight into touch. Maybe that's the best thing I can say. It's summed up the game so far, listeners. Ticking towards 16. I'm reduced to looking around the stadium. Very nice. I think nice is the word. Nice is the word I would sum up Watford. Generally. Easy parking in town. Nice little walk down. Nice sports ground nearby. Nice stadium. Everything that Millwall isn't, I suppose. A lot of shirts outside. A lot of yellow and black. Very, very different. Almost Palace. A more pleasant Palace. Denor does well to win a corner there. Very well. First corner from Millwall. Honeyman to take. Everyone's a critic, listeners. Around me. And big guns are in there, listeners. 19, comes towards 20 minutes. It's bouncing around, falls to Coburn.
Well done, Jones!
Candle back to Denor. On the right side of the attack. A few bodies around. It falls to a Millwall. Honeyman again. Millwall shirt. This is Billy Mitch. What can he do? Can he get the ball in? He can. Does well to get a corner there. Bit of Millwall pressure, listeners, on 20 minutes. Another right side corner as we attack. So 21 minutes. Honeyman with this right-sided corner. Floats it in. It's a deep one. There's Jake Cooper, gets a header on target. Looping header, taken easy enough by the keeper on the line, listeners. Halfway through the first half. Probably the best moment for Millwall so far from that right-sided corner there. Otherwise, scant amounts to report here. We're playing the ball around front of the goalkeeper. We had a dire, almost an open goal there, and make a mess of it. That was Honeyman trying to pull the ball back to Coburn. His shot is blocked. Huge chance wasted there for Millwall, listeners. Took me by surprise. I was just collecting my thoughts there. Massive. The ball broke, fell to Honeyman from loose passing out of the penalty area. but he couldn't take advantage himself, tried to cut the ball back, and Coburn shot blocked. Big chance there, wasted, Millwall. We didn't just look a gift horse in the mouth there, we... I was trying to think of a horse analogy there, but that line overtook my train of thought. We've looked a gift horse in the mouth, let's leave it at that. 22, comes to 23 minutes on the clock. This is Watford on our left. It's not exactly been an extravaganza of football so far, listeners. Two fairly mediocre teams, in truth. Ball into the Mill box, it's bouncing around, it's put wide. That was a chance for Watford there. I thought we put that in the net for one moment. We've angled it wide right of the post from this distance. Big chance there for Watford. Two chances for both sides so far. One gifted to us. That one was worked in from the left side coming inwards, but shot wide. Ticking towards 24 minutes. Ball down for Coburn and chase down. He's involved in a bit of a battle with the 25. That is going to be put into touch. A lot of critics of Coburn around me, listeners, as you would have gathered. But he's done all right for me. He's in a physical tussle with the 25 on a game that isn't high on quality so far. I don't know what more he can give, put it that way. 26 minutes. Millwall put the ball straight into touch now. Poor game, in truth. Better than Tuesday, though, I would say. Which isn't setting a very high bar, listeners, is it? It's setting a very low bar, in truth. A big graffiti-esque style depiction of Luther Blissett down the opposite end. Ball across the face of the goals is a 20. Jensen's out there with him, does really well to get a block on that. Wow. He was in all sorts of trouble there. Ball was sprayed right across the penalty area there. And Jensen came out, spread himself big and somehow kept the 20 at bay. But they do keep possession there. We're on 28, coming towards 29 minutes. That was a big moment there. He done really well there, I thought, Lucas. Bit of Watford pressure now. This is the 8 on the left-hand side. 37 across the face of the goal. Hooked onto target. Shout for penalty. Fired out. Looks like it was deflected wide. Shot for a corner. Left-sided cross. Caught on a volley and into, I think, the body of Joe Bryan from left-sided corner. Another chance. What a bit of turning the heat up on us a little bit now. Coming towards 29 and a half minutes. So right-sided corners when you look at it. We'll need to see these few minutes through. We're just coming under a little bit of pressure here. In it comes. Deep one, deep one, deep one. Far post, number 6. Headed downwards. Jensen gets to it but can't keep it out. Punches it into the net. No one on the back post. 1-0 Watford. Going towards 30 minutes. Slack defending. I suppose you've got to put it down as that, really, from a set piece. Just watching the replay, looks like it's an unmarked header at the far post. Jensen gets a fist to it. Should he do better there? He's up against it. There's no one else there with him. Makes that gift situation all the more expensive now, listeners, doesn't it? Goalkeeping. Would it be an area we look at in the summertime? I think it has to be, listeners, don't you? I think we have to. I don't know whether Roberts is going to stick around at Millwall, whether he'll want to start anew somewhere else after all this. Jensen, great instinct saves, but then makes errors and things get past him. I think we've got to be thinking about it. It's got to be on the agenda of the recruitment team come summertime. That's my view. 24 now. In distance, he will have a go. It's going to slice. Well, a bit like one of my golf shots I made yesterday, listeners. Slice worse than that. Ticking towards 34 minutes. Bit hit and hope, listeners, at the moment. It's gone all the way back to the goalkeeper from Mill defence there. No real passing. We're trying to be direct, trying to hit Coburn, but it's just very, very aimless at the minute. 36 minutes into the game, and all I'm thinking about is routes back home. Is going to be the M1 or the North Circular at the moment. It's that kind of afternoon. What do you think? What do you recommend? M25, M1, M25, or go on to the North Circular? You tell me. I might put a voting button on this. All forwards, runs through to Lucas Jensen. 37 minutes nearly. Well, this is, after this, it'll be 10 games to go, I think, in the season, listeners. Lose this, as we are at the moment, and I think you can start to, if you haven't booked your summer holidays already, really start to book your summer holidays. Because this has had a very end-of-season feel, vibes from the Millwall team so far. Driving up here, I paused at some traffic lights. One of those notices attached to the traffic lights trying to get me to go to Malta for a rave weekend in Malta. And I don't know if it was aimed at me, personally, but it had two designs of, if you saw people dancing, then you were welcome out there. So I thought, I might give it a go, you know. Bit of raving. I know. You're so weak! I wonder if they have the Eagles, Hotel California, or any, you know, bit of Stones. I'll give it a go. Shot from distance, that's quite wide left. It's been a very poor half so far, listeners. 38 minutes. Various DJs at this gig out in Malta. Super D, Spidey, Wigman, Blinky. That advert was far more interesting in this game so far, listeners. 39 minutes. Ball forward for Coburn to chase down. There's the defender with him. Oh, he's been clipped. Goal kick given. Tangling with the 25 there, Coburn. He almost beat his man there and certainly got tripped, but the referee judged that to be out of bounds, so to speak, to borrow an American football term. 42 and a half minutes, listeners. 42 and a half minutes I will not get back in my life. There is half time, very disappointing half. Watford 1, Millwall 0, dear listeners.
Achtung, Millwall.
Teams are coming out for the second half, dear listeners. Reading through some of the comments on social media, it sounds like the penalty shout for Coburn, which I think I thought he crossed the line and any entanglement was off the pitch, but whether that makes any difference or not, I don't know. A lot of people saying it should have been a penalty, but there's a general feeling there's been a very, very poor half of football by Millwall, and I would endorse that 100%. But here we are now for the second half. The sprayers are spraying in all directions. Pitch is looking in good condition. 45 minutes for Millwall to try and give a faint glimmer of hope that the season's still got something in it. Can we do it? I don't know. We're going to be attacking the home end. Once upon a time, I think that was an allotment down that far end. It looks like there's some kind of, might be a hospital or something down there on the other side of the home end. We're in the Vicarage Road end. But I've got a sense years ago of coming here and walking around a load of allotments on the terracing at the far end of the pitch, of the stadium. I could be wrong. Am I wrong, listeners? Do you remember that? I came here in the early 1990s when the law had just changed about goalkeepers not being allowed to pick up back passes. I came here. I'm sure we stood on terracing at that far end that I'm looking at. You don't know where I'm looking. The opposite end to the Vicarage Road end, and I'm sure we had to walk around a load of allotments to get into it. So anyway, there's now a building now, which I'm going to guess looks like a hospital, possibly a hotel. Anyway, enough of my reminiscing. Here comes Watford on the attack. There's a chance. 20 takes and turns, shoots high over the bar. 30 seconds into the second half. I think it was Aidan Davidson in goal, and he made an error on the first pass back because the law had changed. It only just changed that in that summertime, and he picked the ball up when he shouldn't have done. I think that led to a goal. I think we lost it 3-1 that day. 1992, 93, something like that. There used to be a greyhound stadium here as well. There used to be a dog track around the outside of the pitch, but that's long gone. Absolutely no trace of that now, listeners. It's a fairly regular four-stand stadium. Round Taylor stand across from where we're looking. We're kind of like rounded roofs. We're trying to press forward here. It's a poor ball forwards. The other stands all kind of single deck. Decent ground, decent stadium. And as I said at the start, I've been a bit sarky when it's a very convenient place. I parked in town, just walked down, car parked in town, plenty of spaces there. and it's quite pleasant. Mill spread play. This is Kramer on the right side of the Watford penalty area. He's taking his man on. Can he get the ball in? He's taking it too far. Took it all too far. I'm not sure if he could play guitar though, like Ziggy Stardust. I was watching a clip of that second tier podcast. Do you follow that, listeners? There had two Wallies on there. One was wearing a Coventry shirt. I don't know who the other bloke supported. But the bloke in the Coventry shirt was going on about to let him die, and like it was the first time he'd ever heard it in his life. I wonder whether they actually do go to football, because I think I said it at the Palace, on the Palace show. I remember hearing that at Coldblow Lane back in 1972. It's been around for donkey's years. But this bloke was talking like it's the most shocking things he's ever heard. He'd never heard anything like it before. Second tier podcast. Don't listen to it, listeners. It sounded like your kind of utter drivel. We're struggling to create anything, listeners. Mill pass the ball back and forth across our back line. Chip forwards, there's a ball towards him, Marku. Gets away from him. Falls to Marku now on the edge of the Mill penalty area. Gets bundled over, it's going to be a free kick Millwall. Looks like a dangerous position. Edge of the pen, just left of the D, I think. From this distance, Joe Bryan lines up to take it. He ain't on the pitch. Honeyman's going to take it. No hostility towards Honeyman, listeners around me. Bloke laying down in the wall. I think they're expecting a shot from Honeyman. I've never seen that before. This is what comes off. We're on 52 minutes as he's itching to clip it. There'll be a few eating their words if this goes in. No, it's Joe Bryan on the nip. Ooh, into the side netting. Cold it leftwards round the wall, into the side netting. Nice choice, but wide. Millwall throw on the left side. Joe Bryan to take. About halfway inside the Watford half. We're on 56, nearly 57 minutes. Once more, listeners, not huge amounts to tell you about. If only. Mill on the break now. Cumble. Not been making many friends in this game so far amongst the Millwall travelling fraternity. He's found him Marku on the left side. He beats his man. Can he get a cross in? He can. It's a cross. Oh, he's got looked in at the near post. That was Casper de Noor. Ball in from him. Marku totally unexpected. Casper de Noor to near post. 1-each. Little cross in from the left side. Finds Casper at the near post. Looks like a nice finish from this distance. Very hard to tell you much more about it, listeners. Good work, Marku. "59 minutes. Well, we'll just make a game of it, listeners. We've got half an hour to play out, plus any injury time. There was a bit of injury time there for the 20, being down for so long. It should create a bit more interest in the game. Ball forwards, this is Tanganga escorts it out to 19. Gives a goal kick. Ball forwards from Cooper, trying to find Coburn every time. He's very much our target man. He's had a real battle up front all afternoon. Not looked terribly effective at times, but he's in there and competing, listeners. We're on 66 minutes, halfway really through the second half. Lions have pegged it back to 1-each. Game is open for anyone that wants to take it, in my opinion. We've looked a bit better in the second half as it's worn along.
Oh, fuck off, Honeyman, you little cunt.
The Honeyman fan club is back, listeners. Three-way substitution there for Watford, so Alex New, I think, was waiting to see what they've done to try and make his move in return, like a Grand Master.
75 minutes.
Boris Spassky, who passed away recently, who was famously involved in the Bobby Fischer versus Spassky chess match in 1972 in Reykjavik. He's been put straight into touch there. It's going to be a Millwall throw-in just inside the Watford half. We're on 71 minutes. Bryan finds Cundle on the left side. This is Billy Mitch. Cuts inside. Nice little run forwards. Got Marku overlapping on the left. What can he do? 72 minutes. He's just rather paused. Left side of the Watford penalty area. Ball fired into their posts and cleared. Almost a repeat of the goal move there. Casper Denor doing some fine work there. Listen to that applause. Shielding the ball, but allowing Joe Bryan to nip in and take it off the 8 as he was pressing forwards. Well appreciated by the Mill support there, listeners. Here come those Mill substitutes. It looks like Connolly's going to come in. Aziz got to come in. Denor's coming out. Bangura's coming in. Well, we've warmed into the second half, which is gratifying after a pretty poor first half, in my opinion. I thought we started off a little bit clunky at the start of the second half, but as gradually as it's worn along, and especially since the goal, we've looked improved, listeners. Still 12 minutes to go. But I'm not in the depths of despair like I was at half-time. It's a bit of a dramatisation, but, you know, that's my want. Brian keeps the pace going. This is Bangura, lovely little deft touch there. Ball in from the right side, and the header over the... Hey! 2-1, Jake Coburn! The man's been slated around me. Flick header, loops over the goalkeeper. 2-1 Millwall, 81 minutes. That started with a lovely little touch by Reece Bangura Williams. I saw a stat at half-time that we've only won 3 points from a losing position all season. This puts us in a very good position now. 81 minutes on the ball. Got to stay in control of this game. So that's 2-1 Millwall, dear listeners. Josh Coburn header. Josh, Jake, John, Jim. Coburn. Loose ball. This is Ivanovic on the edge of the penalty. Will he have a go? He will. Shot high over the bar, unfortunately. From distance. Won the space there from a loose ball. Put it over the bar. About 2-3 yards over the bar there. 85, going towards 86 minutes. There will be some extended added time, I think. There was injuries, substitutions. Deflected cross. It falls to the edge of the penalty area. It's shot down low. Taken nicely by Lucas Jensen. Like a daisy cutter. 86 minutes. 88 minutes. Right-sided corner for Watford. In it comes. Oh, near post header punched over. Reflex save by Lucas Jensen. I've had a few of his critics around me this afternoon, listeners, but that was top quality save there. Another chance for another corner, though. And taken quickly by the 10. Floated in near post. Honeyman gets the head to that one. Watford back on the halfway line. They lump it forwards. .89 minutes. Free kick to Watford. Midfield. Right of centre. In the half, just inside the middle half. Dinky move there. This is Connolly, edge of the penalty. What can he do? Oh, shot on goal, but it looks like it's battered away by the goalkeeper. A little dink move inside by Ivanovic, who wanted on the left of him there. I think Connolly was his only mind was only on the goal there, but he got the shot away. Goalkeeper's got down low and pushed it around for a right-sided corner. Brilliant result, Mill. Much better second half. A really disappointing first half. Second half, much improved as it wore along. Man of the match this afternoon, I'm going to go with the two defenders. I thought we kept them at bay very well. I'll go with Jake Cooper on this occasion. Tango, take your pick out of the two, but some good performances all round. Casper Denor in the middle there. Up front, you've got to praise Jake Coburn. Josh Coburn, let's call him Jake Coburn, listeners. Really good second half by Millwall. The season remains alive. Would you Adam and Eve it? There we are. From Vicarage Road, from me, Nick Hart, it's Millwall, Watford 1, Millwall 2.
Achtung, Millwall.
Well, to say the least, that was an unexpected win yesterday, dear listeners. 1-0 at half-time, and I must admit the match had a very drifty end of season quality. I think I mentioned that in the live stream that I just did. I couldn't really see a way back into the game for us. We looked a little bit sluggish, off the pace, a bit of a hangover from the Tuesday night performance, which was equally as aimless, I felt. But gradually, as that second half wore on, I do have to take my hat off here to Alex Neil, his tactical acumen, because gradually as that second half wore on, we hauled ourselves into a game that probably, very few you would have heard from the crowd reaction around me at the Vicarage Road yesterday, what the general consensus was for the first half and a chunk of the second, to be quite honest, but certainly up until the equaliser, it was very difficult to see us getting much out of the game at all. Speaking to BBC Radio London after the game, Alex Neil said it's a game of two halves, a cliche there. Watford dominated the first half and caused us a lot of problems. There were a couple of things we had to tinker with at half time to get our shape, and when we did that, we got a lot better. I think that's the thing that I've noticed. I don't know about you listeners, but certainly Alex Neil was much more of an in-game thinker and adjuster than maybe we've been used to in the past. I'm not here to slate managers from the past, but everyone seemed to have a certain pattern that they stuck to, come what may, whatever the opposition were doing. But I think Alex Neil is one of these managers that will make in-game changes, and certainly that was the key to yesterday, because the goal came from players that have been introduced, such as Bangura Williams for the feeder pass, and for on a difficult day for Kramer, he actually got a good cross in first time. He's not been really on it for a few games, I've felt, Tristan Kramer. I think that Wes Harding will feel himself very harshly dealt with recently, perhaps, and more generally in his stint at the club. But many around me would have played Wes yesterday, and Kramer did get the nod and wasn't looking terribly effective for the bulk of it. But for that cross, he kind of pulled himself out of trouble with that, because that was a great cross onto the head of another man who's getting slated all around me. You may have picked some of it up in the live stream of consciousness. Josh Coburn with a really nice little flick header from a cross in from the right from Kramer. So no, all in all, it finished as a well worked away win. Very satisfying in the end, which, as I've said a few times now, was not what I expected at the start of the game. Where does it leave us? Well, it keeps the season alive. We've got a difficult trip to Leeds midweek, so we'll see what we get there. Well, they got beat yesterday at Pompey, didn't they? They're top of the table still, 76 points. In number one position. We remain in 12th. I think we were 12th yesterday, but 48 points now, 7 points behind West Bromwich Albion in that 6th spot. But we do have clubs between us and the Baggies. Are the playoffs on? Well, it's still a very remote possibility. We've let too many games get away from us, dear listeners, really to seriously dream about it. But, have a little bit of fun with yourself and allow yourself just the glimmer of excitement at that, the Wembley trip that might yet still be on for us at the end of the season. I think Alex Neil, actually, when he was speaking to the BBC, said if we do get there, we would have deserved it, because of the difficult number of places we've got to go to, and the limited number of games to go now, just 10 games to play with. So there we are. Millwall win it 2-1. Beautiful day yesterday in Watford. Made all the better by that win. It would have been probably the drive home was a longish one for me around the M25, and it would have been a grim long drive if we'd have got beat there, but there we are. You always feel happier when you've won. So we have a few voicemails for your delectation, dear listeners. Big thank you to everyone who's contributed. Do keep them coming after the Leeds game and so on as we go into the end game of the season. But let's begin now. First one with David Liederkramer.
Hi Nick, David Liederkramer here. Just got back from Vicarage Road, where I was in the away end with a very good friend of mine, Watford season ticket holder. We usually go to both games together, so it's normally quite an entertaining afternoon. First half, we were absolutely dreadful. I thought that we were second to the ball. I thought we made Watford look much better than they really were. And Marku had a shocking first half. One moment of skill on the wing, but apart from that, he looked tired, lethargic, didn't run for the ball. Kundal had a go at him for not chasing down the ball that Kundal had sent through on the wing, and we just looked awful. And in truth, 1-0 absolutely flattered us. I thought we were very fortunate not to be at least 2 goals down. My friend said to me that in the half-time Alex Neil would have to do his work if he was going to earn his corn for being Millwall manager, and I entirely agreed with him. And obviously, Alex Neil did precisely that, because the team that came out in the second half was a completely different prospect. We looked much sharper to the ball, we pressed much stronger, we looked more interested, and it was a much, much better performance. Watford, I think, were probably lulled into a sense of full sense of security as a result of our first half performance, because they looked as bad as we were in the first half. They didn't really create very much at all. I was very pleased with both goals. I thought they were both good moves. First goal was an excellent move, finished off very well by Denor. And when he substituted Denor, I was a bit surprised, because I thought he was our most effective player. But once again, Alex Neil knows a hell of a lot more about football than I do. And the substitutions, I think, worked very well. The goal that we actually scored that was scored by Josh Coburn was excellent. Really good cross by Crummer, who did it first time, and that, I think, was the key, because the defence were unable to set themselves, and a lovely looping header from Coburn, who, to be fair, hadn't really done very much in the game, in my view. It wasn't his fault, but he just kept on plodding away and was up against fairly robust central defenders. But he took that goal really well, and it was impressive. Connolly unfortunate with more or less the last kick of the game not to get a third, but the goalkeeper did well to tip it round, and it led to a corner, and then that was the end of that. Overall, I think we deserved the win on the basis of the second half. We just looked better with the ball, more direct than Watford, who loved sort of fanning about with it at the back, to the despair of their supporters. I don't know what it is with teams who just keep on kicking out from the back and then sort of losing possession. It's just terribly frustrating. I'm glad we don't do it. We do try and use the ball from the back, but at sensible times, rather than just doing it for the sake of it. I think the team performance overall was very, very good. I think it showed good character to come back. I think the stat that we'd not actually turned a losing position into a winning position since October 2022 is staggering. I think it was against West Brom at home that we last did that, nearly 2.5 years ago, which is quite amazing. So I'm delighted that monkey is off our back now. But I would say this: anybody who thinks that we are even remotely ready for the playoffs, I think really is just not seeing the Millwall I'm seeing. I think at the moment we're a good mid-table club. I think we've got some good players. I think we've got some good players that are injured, and that we've got some excellent prospects for next season. But we're certainly not ready at the moment, and I think we're a mid-table club. I'm of the pessimistic school of thought, and I'm just delighted that we are, 17 points from relegation. I know it's absolutely crackers, but we're obviously now completely safe. And so I should make for some interesting viewing for the rest of the season. Anyway, I'll be there, of course, next week, and we've got a difficult game against Leeds, which I won't be at, but come on, you Lions.
Spoken like a Millwall fan of many, many years standing there, David, safe from relegation. Yeah, I think we've all probably had that thought cross our minds. Playoffs, wow. I think you're right. The thing that sticks in my mind, you mentioned a good point actually there, David, about the team looked interested in the second half, because I didn't think we looked terribly interested on Tuesday night at home to Bristol, and for the first half and a slice of the second, until we warmed up, maybe until Alex Neil's half-time tonic talk, whatever that might consist of, I don't know. A mixture of praise and damnation, perhaps. But we did start to look interested, and that's key, because when we do look interested, we've got a decent team there, and we play some decent football at pace. In the end, we get there. But for the most part, we did look like we were more interested in whether EasyJet or Ryanair fly to Faliraki. Which is fine, but I don't think Alex Neil his mind. I don't think it works that way. So I think he must have issued a livener in the dressing room at half time, because we did look better, a lot better, as the second half wore along. Good goal by Coburn. He was getting slated all around me, dear listeners. A lot of criticism, I think unfair. A lot of criticism of George Honeyman, unfair. They are players they're not going to rival Messi or Ronaldo for any Ballon d'Or awards, but this is Millwall, and we have a long history, honourable history, of using kind of hard-running midfielders and workhorse players to their best advantage. Coburn, it did make me laugh because Coburn was getting slated and slaughtered all around me, but then he got the winning goal, which, if it was a movie, you probably think, well, should I write this script, because it was maybe a little corny, but there it was. I saw that turning losses to wins stat at half time, David. It does seem to have been a long while since we've come back from behind, and it was good to see it yesterday. Interesting ground, Watford. I actually don't mind it, and I find myself thinking it's am I falling into the trap of liking the pleasantness of leafy Hertfordshire? Close to town, you can get parked dead easy. You just got to walk around a corner basically to get to the ground, and you're away along the motorway. Well, that was a bit of a mare of a drive home for me, but anyway, getting there in the morning it was fine. It was all in all, it finished as an enjoyable afternoon. So hey ho, there we go. Big thank you there to David Liederkron. We're going to take a very short advertising break, and then we're going to come back with Lawrence Binney. Stay tuned.
Achtung, Millwall.
All right, Nick, it's Lawrence Binney here calling after Watford 1, Millwall 2. Well, that was very much a game of two halves, wasn't it? In the first half, I thought we were quite passive, quite reactive. I think that was reflected in the lineup, which was a distinctly Gary Rowett style lineup, with Honeyman lining up on the right, seeking to give us a bit more of a kind of tactical balance, probably acknowledging that Watford would take the game to us, and we'd need that extra man in midfield. But I think in the end, what happened was probably part of the plan, to be honest. Obviously we didn't kind of intend to go a goal down, but I think that there was always a sense that Watford would tire. They came at us for quite a bit of intensity in that first half, and they looked completely spent in the second. And then we were able to kind of use our reserves of energy to push them higher and higher up the pitch. I was quite impressed with our patience following the plan. It seemed very ineffective in the first half, but I think we just grew in confidence, and bit by bit we were able to move the ball up the pitch. And I think, again, it was a game where doing the basics really, really well kind of bore fruit for us. And I think sometimes we think of the basics as being like the hard running and the off the ball work, but I think the basics also extends to attacking play as well, like Casper making those runs, filling those pockets of space, Amaku being able to kind of hold the ball up and then explode with a burst of pace, to find a man coming in at the near post. Coburn, again, a fairly innocuous position, to the right of the goal. But like with the right delivery, all he needs to do is sort of get a flick on it, and the goalkeeper's completely wrong-footed. I mean, how often have we, especially at Den, how often have we had these games where we're piling pressure on, and we deliver ball after ball into the box, and it just goes sailing over everyone's head, and no one's coming in those kind of critical areas, like near the back post or the front post, or picking up the second ball. Today there was always a man there, and it meant that we could pen them in, and we created opportunities. We seem to have some decent options on the bench, and I think those players played their part as well. When Bangura Williams came on, the layoff for Kramer to put that cross in for the second, I thought was superb. Such an underrated bit of play, but he basically made it quite easy for Kramer to just whip that ball in. Little things like that have evaded us recently. I do think that we probably do have a few more turgid performances left in us this season. I think it is very much going to feel a bit sort of one step forward, one step back. with the occasional 2 steps forward, but then another step back, while Neil kind of figures out his best side and his best system. But yeah, I imagine we'll settle into a comfortable mid-table position, probably exactly where we are now, 12th in the table. And I do also imagine that for every Bristol City we have, I think we might upset a couple of the big teams on their own patch. Maybe not Leeds, because that would be just unbelievable if we did the treble over them. But I could see us getting a result at somewhere like Sunderland, perhaps. So yeah, not good enough for the playoffs this year. But yeah, I think there's the makings of a decent squad. I mean, it's all very, very speculative, based on sort of potential rather than reality. But yeah, let's not lose our heads when we do well, and certainly not when we do badly, because. Yeah, I think we will have enough experience of this club to know that things never go quite how you expect them to go. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the sunshine, Nick. It's lovely to see us win on the road, and even more lovely to see us come back to win. Come back from behind to win a game, which I read online on Twitter that we haven't done for about 2 years. So yeah, I think that maybe that's something that we can look to work on going forward as well. All right, cheers, Nick. Bye.
Let's not lose our heads, I wrote down from my notes here, Lawrence. I don't know if we're following the same club, mate. Losing our heads is writ large in our DNA, isn't it? All joking aside, no, I do agree. We do have the makings of a decent squad here. You can see the bare bones of something being built here by Alex Neil. I think, as we've mentioned already, his tactical nous will come good for us with, let's hope that the squad is developed into next season. It's going to be interesting to see which players stay, which ones are moved on. I was amazed that Wes Harding didn't feature yesterday, but maybe Kramer is seen as the future, whereas Wes may well be not seen as the future, which I can maybe understand, but it does seem rather harsh on him. I mentioned in my live stream about the goalkeeping. I mean, I go around in circles with Lucas Jensen, because on the one hand you see him making kind of communication errors and flapping at balls, and other times you'll see him making some terrific saves. There was a late flick header, which I think came off a Millwall player. I thought it would come off of a Watford player in real time, like a blast bullet header at close range from the late corner. Would have made it 2 each if it had gone in the net. And he made a terrific save, and the boy has got this kind of ability to, kind of zig and zag between the highs and lows. Whether he is the long-term answer, I don't know. Whether the club will want to look at the goalkeeping issue over the summertime, I don't know. Liam Roberts it's not news, is it? But has obviously been banned for 6 games now. Alex Neil was just speaking, I was reading in the BBC website about the need to move on from it. He's got a 6-game ban, move on type of thing. Whether the club will see him as a long-term understudy, so to speak, to Jensen as he has been this season, I don't know. I think it's an area that the club must keep in review, because that's what big clubs do, and that's what we aspire to be. They kill their darlings, as the phrase has it. I don't mean literally kill, let them die style, listeners. You move players on to constantly improve the squad. So whether the goalkeeping is seen as an area where we can improve, I kind of think that certainly Jensen can improve his game, and whether the coaching of Andy Marshall can improve that game to the level required is going to be the question. So we shall see. Casper De Norre, yeah, great player. The goal we scored yesterday, which was from the Marku run and cross, wasn't it? Into the near post, really nicely finished when you see it on the the Twitter clips and so on. Reminded me a bit of that goal that he scored, and I can't remember who it was against, but Reece Bangura made a run down along the left side of the byline and pulled it back to him at the near post, and I can't think which game that was. So you're tuned into the wrong podcast if you're looking for accurate memories, listeners. But a very similar goal. He's got a habit of sneaking in, ghosting in almost at the near post. I love it. Really like him as a player, and I hope we can retain his services, because he seems to enjoy playing for Millwall. So a big thank you there to Lawrence Binney. Going to play 2 back-to-back. Let's have Bobby T and then John Rankin. Take it away, Bobby.
Nick Hart, Bobby T. Just got back into London from Vicarage Road on the old South Ken. Got the coach there. Left at 8 in the morning. Why do we leave at 8 in the morning? It's about an hour drive. Bloody hard game, if you ask me. Bobby T here, mate. Achtung, Millwall. But listen, could I say if you win? First half was utter shite from the first half. Right? Couldn't put two passes together. But second half, Bosch, as they would say, Bosch, hit and run, Coburn. I thought it was 2 goals, but anyway, we got to sign that guy in the summer, Josh Coburn. Great header. Kramer, still not a right back from my eyes. Great cross, though, give you that. Kundal, at the moment, you're lost in games for me. Marco started, got lost, kept on slipping like Bambi on ice. But all I know, first half was terrible. Second half, we hit and run. Watford was shit. Jensen, for me, man of the match. Nick Hart, Achtung, Jensen. Oh, my, what a save. And you know what? Alex Neil, masterclass. He brought them 3 on. Bangor Williams changed the game. Cross to Kramer. Cross, boom. Josh Coburn. And the old Casper. But Honey Poo, why are you picking Honey Poo still? He had a not bad game, even Joe Bryan as well, not bad. But we were shit in the first half. But second half, we come alive. Great performance. That's why we love Millwall. Jack and Hyde, bipolar Millwall. You know, Bristol City, and now playoffs, 4 points? No, we're mid-table. Great away days out. Achtung Mill voted the best podcast in the world, followed by Mickey Podcast and Chaps to do Chaps. Bobby T signing off. Happy weekend. Hornets, you got stung. Bye for now.
Good evening, Nick. Good evening, listeners. John Rankin calling from a very happy and relieved front room after going to the Watford game. And what a fantastic game it was. Very, very interesting. First of all, I just want to say how well certain people played, certain members of the squad played. Joe Bryan, I thought, played very well. Tristan Kramer was also very, very good indeed. Tanganga and Cooper played very well. In fact, Jake Cooper was my man of the match. I thought he had a great game, Big Jake. Very deft little touches, composure on the ball, very calm, but also made some, crucial challenges. Midfield played really well, and the front guys, brought a lot of energy. So when we kicked off, I thought we started very brightly. We had a few chances. George Honeyman intercepted, a bit of sloppy play in defence, and I just thought he lacked a bit of confidence. He should have just belted it at one of the side nettings, but tried to play Josh Coburn in. But that didn't avail of anything, and we looked busy. We were creating chances, we were getting on the ball, and we were doing quite well. And then we fell away in the in the first half. We fell away towards the break, and Watford went 1-0 up, and I was pretty despondent. I thought, here we go, it's going to be another one of those days. Millwall out of form. And it looked like a very, very sloppy goal to me. Watching it on the replays, the guy crept in at the far post totally unmarked. Couldn't believe it. Very disappointing goals we tend to give away at Millwall. People very seldom score, absolute world-class goals against us. It always seems to be our own defensive failings. We lose concentration, we take her off the ball, we lose the ball, we don't defend set pieces and crosses well enough. And the goals scored against us always seem to be weak. But there you go. Anyway, second half came out and it was a different story. Played really well, a lot of high energy. Casper Denora was absolutely superb in the middle, as was Billy. George Hanneman, I think, had possibly his best game in a Millwall shirt. Very, very impressive, everyone. Imaku had a difficult first half, but in the second half, he stayed at it. That's what I liked. His head didn't drop, and I was so pleased for him when he got the assist for Denore's goal. And then Coburn's goal was absolutely superb. What a move, It was from out of defence. a ball across to the Frenchman, Tristan de Cramera, and, a lovely cross and brilliantly taken by Copeland. Really, really high quality goal. And I thought, we're going to win this. Watford, they huffed and puffed. They had loads and loads of corners, and I was worried about the corners because as I was walking to the game today through Watford, I heard a Watford supporter say to his boys, well, all we've got to do is get crosses in the box because their goalkeeper, is a bit dodgy under a high ball and they give lots of goals away from corners, Millwall. And I thought, wow. And, we defended our box, defended well. Jensen pulled off a wonder save right at the end to keep it 2-1. And we drove home very, very happy indeed. So, lots to take away there. Great reaction. I've got to say, Connolly looked good when he came on. And I was we were all right behind him when he broke through. And really hoping that he scored that goal. But what he did, he won a few free kicks in vital areas. He's very good at protecting the ball and holding the ball up. It was quite a physical match. There was a lot of bumping and barring, a lot of, physicality, and I thought we held up well. So, very, very good victory on the road. Come on, you Lions.
Huge thank you, John, and before John to Bobby T. Incidentally, Bob, I love that honey poo. Sounds like a flapper from the 1920s, possibly one of the Friends of the Mitford sisters or something, honey poo. The goal, John, the goal we conceded, watching the replay, it seems to come off a flick header off of Josh Coburn, who should have been sending it away from goal and somehow has got underneath it and it's flicked it onto the man at the far post, who was unmarked. So, poor defence, in truth. Man of the match, I do agree Joe Bryan is playing well at the moment. My text that I sent yesterday, or tweet rather I should call it, I named him my man of the match. I wouldn't argue with Jake Cooper either, man of the match. I think I said Jake in the stream and I put Joe on the Twitter, so I'd like to keep everyone guessing as to my man of the matches. But no, it was a good overall performance, the one that came good. I think that's probably the way I'd sum it up, dear listeners. Now then, we're at the end of the show. I'm going to play you out now, listeners, with Aussie Dave, then Rob Woodford. I want to say a big thank you to everyone for listening and also for the contributors that sent in their voice notes. They really make a decent show of it, and I appreciate every single one. So I'm going to take you to the finish now with Aussie Dave, then Rob Woodford. Until the next edition of Achtung Mill later in the week, it's from me, Nick Hart. It's Arrivederci Millwall. Bye for now.
Nick, Aussie Dave here, after the bipolar Millwall win against Watford. Few points to be made. The first one, the first half was really a continuation of the dire Bristol game. And you start thinking, have we got enough points to avoid relegation? Second point, a come-from-behind win. Haven't done that since the Venerable B was sinking pints of me down the Old Kent Road. Third point, Alex Neil did a really good tactical change at half-time. We had a much higher and more energetic press on the Watford back line, and that started to create panic and errors and really did change the momentum of the game, I thought. Number 4, man of the match, got to go for Casper Denor, all-round display, and obviously got the goal. But honourable mentions to Jensen, great save towards the end. Bryan, an exquisite pass to set up the momentum for the second goal. And Coops, solid as ever. There's one other player I want to mention. I'm probably going to get pelted from the Millwall cognoscenti, but I thought Honeyman had a good game, was quite influential with his energy, particularly in the first half, where he was helping Kramer deal with a three-pronged Watford attack down our right side. So well done, Honeyman. Moving on from man of the match, onto a couple of players who are of concern. Kundal, not quite fitting in. Glimpses rather than an influential 90-minute display. And in that very important number 10 position, it's a minor worry. The other player of concern is Tanganga. He's been right off the ball, probably half a dozen games now. Seems a bit lethargic, errors, and it was definitely him who lost that guy, the centre half of Watford, who got their goal. So let's move on to Wednesday and Leeds. I wonder if we can do the treble. Come on, you Lions.
Well, it's a fantastic win on the road again, and what a turnaround from the first 45 minutes, because at half-time, I think a lot of us were all thinking Pollocks, how was Matt Pollock allowed so much freedom of space to run beyond our defenders to the back stick for their goal? And that's, again, very un-Millwall-like, and it's these unfortunate passages of play that's been costing us in recent times, I think. And, defeats could have been draws and draws could have been wins. I tell you what, I couldn't help notice, Nick, how the Sky commentator seemed to raise his voice whenever Watford got near our box, and then sounded so disappointed when the move broke down. Can't hide their bias, some of these people. His co-commentator was more balanced, and I didn't need her to tell me how Coburn never took the ball over the goal line in the first half, and he had a good shout for a penalty, but, there we are. A slow start to the second half, according to this plank of a commentator, but in reality, Millwall was starting to react to being a goal down, and I don't think he liked it. Anyway, listen, we scored a really good goal, and no surprise to me, it was carved out by Idemo Imaku, and what a quality finish from CDN. But instead of trying to manage the game and sitting on 1-1, the gaffer made some positive substitutions, and then it was great to see the reaction by the bench to the goal. And a big shout out to Lucas Jensen, who kept us in the game with that brilliant save in the final minutes. But there does seem to be a lot of togetherness in the squad again, just like at the end of last season, perhaps. And it all bodes well to try and get us a top half finish this season, despite those five tough-looking fixtures on the road in the run-in, including Ellen Road on Wednesday, Part 3. Can we defeat them for a third time this season?
Hi Nick, Glyn here. So yesterday, I think that was the classic smash and grab performance, wasn't it? Just doing enough to stay in the game, soaking up loads of pressure, and then ultimately taking those few chances when they did come our way. So I think well done to the whole squad and to the management team for that performance. It was a joy to watch. I think Crammer deserves a lot of credit, actually. He was up against some real top quality players yesterday, and it was tough, but I think it would have been tough for any fullback. He did exceptionally well and made some really important headers towards the end of the game as we started to go under more pressure. I also think Coburn's looking a quality player, and I know that his injury record hasn't been great, but he is very young, and there's still a lot of growing for that lad to do. I think he'd be an excellent acquisition if we could get him for $2 million or less. I'm sure he'd be worth more than that by the time we end up selling him. So I hope we do sign him and keep him. And then I think, finally, I always like to mention the keepers, but I think Lucas Jensen really stepped up to the plate yesterday and dominated his area a lot better than he has done in previous games, and pulled off some crucial saves. So well done to him. I mean, he's very much involved in the reason that we got 3 points yesterday, and deserves all the plaudits for it. So really looking forward to seeing the game at Leeds. I've got a ticket. I'll be there. Come on, you Lions.
Big thank you, Glyn. A late entrant, listeners. I was just on the brink of completing the edit of the show when Glyn's message came through. So I'll gladly include everything that I can in these episodes. So big thank you there to Glyn. Praise for Kramer. Yeah, I mean, I think it's easy to forget he's playing out of position, dear listeners. During the game, people were digging him out, and I must admit, the crossing wasn't brilliant until the goal for Coburn late in the second half. But he is being played out of position. We have to keep bearing that in mind. Whether that relates to Dave's point about Tanganga going a little bit off the ball, I don't know. You would expect, rightly or wrongly, Tanganga to be a valuable asset that might be moved on come the summertime. Would you? I would. There's been the kind of common consensus so far. Now, whether that's seep through to the player, whether he knows there's interest in him, maybe he wants to raise his level. I would expect him to, but then again, he has looked like he's struggled a little bit in recent games. So the goal, I don't know. I mean, the goal looked like to me an unfortunate flick off of Coburn at the near post, which found an unmarked player. Now, whose responsibility that was, I'm sure, will be the topic of conversation at Calmont Road tomorrow, I would imagine. Interesting to hear Dave praise Honeyman. The critics around me were scathing towards Honeyman. I quite like him. I think there's as we've said already on this show, there's always a place for a hard running, industrious midfielder at Millwall. I don't know what else we would do without. One thing I did want to raise is Rob's point about the media, the Sky. I wasn't listening to Sky. I was actually there, listeners, yesterday. But someone picked out that the Mail Online had posted 33 times about Millwall, the Daily Mail. I think the thing to keep in mind now is that many of these so-called once great newspapers, and I know that the Daily Mail's many will agree with or disagree with their politics, and I'm not going to say one way or the other. Everyone's entitled to their view. But once upon a time, the Daily Mail was a major player on Fleet Street. All of the papers have taken a dive because we don't read them anymore. The pieces of paper have been replaced by screens, and we all read the screens. So the Mail Online, which is the online wing of what was once the Daily Mail, major newspaper that wielded hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of copies sold, is little more than a bunch of youngsters, internet-based youngsters, trying to find reasons to click on their website. I had a quick look at it earlier on because someone had posted that the Mail Online had posted 33 times since in the last week about Millwall that had fixated. I think they are fixated. There aren't that many of the journalists actually actively involved in the Daily Mail, and the ones that are not versed in the ways of football as anyone of a certain age will understand it. So, for example, I've mentioned already in this show the Let 'Em Die song, which has been around forever, has come as some kind of shock to them. That's because they're probably not particularly versed in anything other than modern football. Sky TV clearly is the kind of the furnace in which the modern game now burns. So anything that can put Millwall in the corner, they'll love it, and they will have a tone of excitement, I imagine, every time that the opposition attack us. And you don't really often hear much in the way of balanced conversation about the club. Another reason for that, listeners, is, and this is a truth universally acknowledged, that Millwall is still a product of its area. Bermondsey was historically a very insular area. A siege mentality it was almost separate, despite being so close to the city and the West End. It was an area where angels feared to tread. It was different. It was inaccessible for many people. Millwall is a product of the area from which it springs to this day. So Millwall Football Club is and remains an impenetrable thing for anyone not of it. I'm speaking to you because we share the common bond of being Millwall fans, and so we have an understanding of it, and we almost revel in that insularity. But for outsiders, we're a very hard club to get a handle on. Some people seem to want to love us, some people love to hate us. Both are equally, outsiders I'm talking about, both are equally false, because no one really understands the club other than those who have followed it through thick and thin over many years, and that's the likes of you and your cohorts you go to Millwall with, and me and others of a similar length of time. So we'll never get a fair hearing by the media. We had during the stadium fight, we had some good coverage from Barney, but then Barney is secretly, I think, a Millwall fan, so I think he does have an understanding of who we are. But we will never play well to the middle class, second tier podcasters and their like, nor truthfully should we want to. Anyway, that's my sermon done. Big thank you to Glyn for that late message, just about squeezed it in. Big thank you to Dave and to Rob and to everyone who's contributed to today's show. Probably I'll catch up with Merv later on in the week, maybe after the Leeds game. But until the next edition of Achtung Millwall, dear listeners, from me, Nick Hartz, thank you for listening, and Arrivederci Millwall. Bye for now.
podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.